Now let me introduce LTX-2 to you.
LTX-2 is the first efficient joint audio-video foundation model in the industry. More importantly, it is open source and supports both text-to-audio-video and image-to-audio-video generation. A few days ago, LTX 2.3 was released, bringing comprehensive improvements over LTX 2. From the development progress of drawthings, it's clear that LTX 2.3 is being actively integrated, while LTX 2 has already been officially supported for over a week. It is also the first model in drawthings to support audio generation.
LTX-2, the first model on drawthings that supports audio generation.
How do you correctly use LTX-2 in drawthings?
In today's video, I'll mainly share some of my findings, experiences, and parameters based on the current drawthings setup. Most of these results come from local runs on an M5 iPad Pro, with a small portion based on cloud computing experience. Part 1. LTX-2 usage recommendations. LTX-2 comes in both dev and distilled versions. For consumer-grade hardware, it's best to stick with the 8-step distilled version. Personally, I prefer using the distilled base model directly. You can refer to the download size for reference. Some users combine the dev version with the distilled LoRa. What's the difference? I'll show a comparison here.
Now let me introduce LTX-2 to you. Now let me introduce LTX-2 to you.
The latter combination generally produces better results, especially in text rendering accuracy. The dev 6-bit model and the distilled acceleration LoRa are approximately 18 GB and 8 GB in size. Similar to models like WAN 2.2, I still strongly recommend using drawthings cloud computing service for generation. However, heavy usage may lead to queue times in the community cloud, while drawthings Plus offers relatively better service. That said, LTX-2 is actually more suitable for local execution compared to WAN 2.2. Even though the distilled version requires 8 steps, in practice it is still much faster than WAN 2.2's 4-step generation. On an M5 iPad, generating a 16:9 video at 7/4x384 with 121 frames takes about 220 seconds, roughly 3-4 minutes. The table below shows reference generation times for different resolutions and frame counts. With no queue, cloud generation can be extremely fast. Part 2. LTX-2 parameters and example outputs. According to the official documentation, LTX-2 supports generating videos up to 20 seconds long. In drawthings, the maximum frame count per run is 257 frames, about 10 seconds, with a default frame rate of 25 FPS. Commonly used frame counts are 121 or 161 frames, about 5-7 seconds. For the 8-step distilled version, the key settings are actually quite simple. You just set the steps to 8 and keep the CFG at 1. One parameter worth highlighting is the shift value in drawthings. By studying the LTX-2 source code and how shift is implemented in drawthings, I found that the official 8-step distilled workflow uses 9 fixed sigma values. Using the relationship between shift and sigma with AI assistance, I derived 3 optimal shift values that closely approximate the official distilled manual sigma setup. The following recommendations are based on my personal experience and do not represent drawthings officially when shift is 5/8 steps. This is also the default recommended setting in drawthings. It is relatively stable, with its pros and cons shown in the corresponding examples.
How do I get to the nearest Chinese restaurant?
Wow, how did this happen? It's so amazing!
I am definitely going to break my previous record this time.
Do you know LTX 2.3 is coming to drawthings?
Our research into LTX-2 shows unparalleled stability.
But how does it handle high-frequency textures in long durations?
When shift is 6-9 steps, example results are shown accordingly.
This temple has been hidden for centuries. It's been raining for a solid week. When will it finally stop? I am waiting for someone, but perhaps she won't come.
Shift is 7.82, focuses on more stable structure and early-stage form generation. Example results are shown accordingly.
Fast is easy. Winning is hard. I am right here! I want to fly!
Oh my God, that's a long way to go. I'm Lulu. I am showing you LTX-2 on Draw Things.
In the kingdom of the blind, the one-eyed man is king.
That is the funniest story I've heard all week.
I told you it was a day to remember.
It's also worth mentioning that there are some LTX-2 LoRa's available in the LoRa list. You can experiment with them freely. Here I demonstrate a LoRa for camera stability.
Life is boring. Let's coding. Life is boring. Let's coding.
After applying it, the subject moves while the background remains largely stable. At the time of publishing this video, LTX-2.3 has already been internally tested in Draw Things and is about to be publicly released. LTX-2.3 offers richer details, better visuals, improved camera motion, enhanced portrait quality, and native spatial upscaling support. I'll cover it in more detail in a future video. All parameters used in this video will be shared.
Stay tuned for more updates from ToolBuddy. See you in the next one.